.com.
The teams you care about.
Mac Jones is good. That's not the question. The question is he good enough to win repeatedly in this loaded AFC?
The stories that matter to you.
If I'm Xander Bogaerts, I need 3 things in order to get over that insulting contract offer.
This is your home for New England sports.
Jason Tatum, superstar. Book it.
This is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
What's up, everybody? Brady Farkas Show here on a Tuesday on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Short show today up until 6:10 again. Then we get Red Sox baseball. Sox taking on the Guardians at Fenway with Josh Winkowski on the mound. Both teams are tied in the wild card race. Both teams are now 3 back of the final wild card spot. I think I misspoke yesterday. I think yesterday I said the Red Sox were just 2 out of a playoff spot. I guessed that was my post-vacation screw-up. Usually when you come back from vacation, it's the buttons that get you all confused, because you're out of practice on where the fingers go and when. But evidently I made a voice screw-up. Yeah, so yesterday I believe I said the Red Sox were 2 back of a playoff spot. Alex Cora also said they were 2 back of a playoff spot, and I played that audio, and that's what got it in my head. But the Red Sox now tied with the Guardians, both teams 3 back of the final playoff spot. So big games here still to come here throughout the rest of this series. Again, our coverage begins at 6:10. We will talk about the Kevin Durant, Jaylen Brown Celtics rumors that are being bandied about still. We got a lot of the Patriots stuff to get to today. We're going to start with that.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here we go.
The opening thoughts are on the Brady Farkas Show, and they're brought to you by Sticks and Stuff and by Swanton Lumber, Vermont's most complete locally owned home center with locations in Enosburg, Derby, Middlesex, St. Albans, and at Swanton Lumber. They're online at sticksandstuff.com, and you can also get in on the Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line. That's 802-585-3026. Your locally owned Napa stores in Waterbury and Morrisville. The Patriots are back at training camp. The team has reported officially today. The veterans are in camp. The rookies are in camp. Bill Belichick had a press conference today. The first day of practice is officially tomorrow. We made it, everybody. We are here. Football is back. The Patriots are back. The NFL is back. Football is back. I cannot believe that football's here. It feels like just yesterday we were talking about the draft. It feels like just yesterday we were talking about the Patriots in the playoffs getting blown off the field in Buffalo. But here we are. Football's back. I'm always ready for football. But this snuck up on me. Like, mentally, I have been in so much just baseball mode, Red Sox mode, trade deadline mode. Sox are hot. Sox are free falling. Who are they really? I've been thinking so much about the Red Sox that football snuck up on me. And I'm always ready for football. Football doesn't ever sneak up on me, but it snuck up on me this year. But here we are. The Pats are at training camp. The juices are flowing for me, and I bet they are flowing for you and for your favorite team as well. I am so interested in where this Patriots season will go. I am so fascinated by what is to come over the course of the next 5.5 to 6.5 months. I think the Patriots have potential. And there's also the potential to be a lot of problems also. I don't know which way it's going to go definitively, but I believe that the Patriots are a team with a lot of potential, but there's also a lot of potential pitfalls. And that is what makes them so interesting. The Patriots are one of the more fascinating teams to me in the NFL. 802-585-3026. Joe in Richmond says the Pats are back. It's about damn time. I'm ready for some football. Let's go, Pats. On that note, on Joe from Richmond's enthusiasm, I bring you my 6 biggest Patriots training camp storylines. Okay? I thought a lot about this. I had about 10 that I wanted to put here. I've narrowed it down to 6 Patriots storylines here as we head officially into training camp. First practice is tomorrow. And crew, you know the rules. When we talk about football, we have to play the NFL primetime music. So please, for the first time here in officially the 2022 season, let's cue it up, people. Oh! That is just money to my ears right there. Money to my ears. Now, football is officially back. Patriots storyline number one as we head to training camp. How much is Mac Jones going to be asked to do this season? That is the question about this team. Last year, predictably, deservedly, Mac Jones was a quarterback who played with training wheels on. And it was the right move. Rely on the run game. Rely on your defense at times. Rely on your special teams. Trust your punter. Lean on Nick Folk, your kicker. How much this year is Mac Jones going to be asked to do, and how much more are the Patriots going to let him do? Is this Patriots team, is this Patriots offense going to be an offense where Mac Jones is truly leading from out front? Or is he just going to be a passenger on this train who plays under strict guardrails again? What exactly is Mac Jones capable of, and what exactly will the coaching staff entrust him with? That is the biggest question. I have said forever, I think Mac Jones is good. That is not the debate. I do not think that Mac Jones is awful. But is Mac Jones special enough to be a quarterback who truly leads from out front? That's the question that the Patriots have to answer. That's the question Mac Jones has to answer. Josh Allen leads from out front. Patrick Mahomes leads from out front. Justin Herbert leads from out front. Joe Burrow has shown he can be special enough to lead from out front. The AFC is loaded with great quarterbacks. They are loaded with special quarterbacks. Where does Mac Jones truly fit in that AFC hierarchy? What is his growth like year one to year two? And how much do the Pats and their coaches trust in him? For what it's worth, you all know I don't love rankings, so I don't get way too hopped up in this. For what it's worth, the Athletics NFL quarterback rankings came out yesterday, and these are kind of the ones that people like to go by. Mac Jones was ranked 18th. 32 teams in the NFL, Mac Jones ranked the 18th best quarterback. That feels about right. Mac Jones, I think he's at best the 10th best quarterback in the AFC. He might be 11th or 12th, depending on how you slice it. He is good, but the AFC is so loaded at quarterback that he's going to take a back seat in these rankings. Can he prove me wrong? Can he prove the voters wrong? The NFL coaches who were part of that poll, can he prove them wrong? Can he be more dynamic? Can the Pats trust him to take a Joe Burrow-like leap in year two, or do they have to handle him with kid gloves again? Mac Jones has all the intangibles. He's got everything up top. His leadership is good. His poise is good. I think his teammates love him. I heard Matthew Slater talking, singing his praises today. I think he's going to find more of his voice here in year two without Cam Newton there to kind of, he had to be more reserved as a rookie. But does he truly have the juice on the field to carry this team at times? We will find out. We will find out how much they trust him and how much they're willing to just let Mac Jones cook versus let Mac Jones sit back and hand off on first, hand off in second, and try to convert third and fourth. For what it's worth, Bill Belichick spoke today, and he absolutely loves where Mac Jones is at right now. Bill? Hold on, take two. Bill?
Yeah, well, certainly he'll have input. I think Mac's done a great job. He's worked extremely hard. He's got a tremendous work ethic, and in all areas, I think there's a dramatic improvement. His physical work and conditioning, working on his mechanics, working on his footwork, working on his understanding of our offense, of opponent defenses, of situations, all those things. He did a great job last year, but he's starting from a much, much higher point this year than where he started last year.
That's all great that Belichick said that. I think that Belichick believes it. Mac Jones is incredibly developed mentally. I think he's going to get better mentally. But Kirk Cousins is pretty good up top, too. And Kirk Cousins as a player has been limited. We'll see if Mac Jones is more than that as we go. I have compared Mac Jones to Kirk Cousins all along since the draft. That ranking system that had him 18th, they called him Kirk Cousins light. We'll see. How much will Mac Jones be asked to do? How much is he allowed to do? And how much is he capable of doing? That is question number one about this team as we go into training camp. Question number two, who is going to call the plays? We still don't know. Bill Belichick elected not to name an official offensive coordinator. Joe Judge works with the quarterbacks. Matt Patricia works with the offensive line and is kind of a football advisor. How is all this going to play out? Neither one, Judge or Patricia, has called plays at the NFL level. They've both been head coaches, but neither one of them are head coaches that were dedicated solely to the offensive side of the ball. They're not known at the pro level for their offensive acumen. You're going to have a rookie play caller no matter who you go with this season, and this is a time when Mac Jones just needs to take off. Okay, you're playing with a quarterback on a rookie contract. You are in the sweet spot. I've said it forever. Rookie quarterback years, you have to capitalize. You have to win the Super Bowl when your quarterback is on a rookie contract. Otherwise, it becomes infinitely harder to do that. Okay? Mac Jones just needs to go, and he just needs to trust that he can just play. He doesn't need to be held back by a bad play caller and an experienced play caller, a hesitant play caller, or a play caller who he's got to teach things to. We will see how this all looks comes game time, but if Mac is the biggest question on the field, this is the biggest question off the field. Who calls plays and how does it impact things? Because the Patriots, they don't have time to waste. They are in year 2 of 5 with their rookie quarterback. The clock is now officially ticking. Year 1, you get a little bit of a pass. You get a little bit of a pass to grow. Joe Burrow, year 2, got to the Super Bowl. Okay, Russell Wilson, year 2, rookie contract, got to the Super Bowl. I don't know that the Pats need to make the Super Bowl, but this is a year where they have to, they need to be in contention for it, and if they are not, that is a problem. And their coaching staff situation cannot be a limiting factor in their quest to do that. Mac needs to be able to be Mac, and he can't be held back by a poor coaching staff offensively. Question number 3 heading into Patriots training camp. Which wide receiver is going to step up? Which wide receiver is going to step up and is going to be the guy? I asked the Patriots for much of draft season to draft a number 1 receiver. I wanted a stud in the first round. They didn't do it. They took a question mark in the second round in Tyquan Thornton. The wide receiver room in New England is devoid of a go-to guy. It's full of guys, but it's devoid of a go-to guy. Who steps up as the go-to guy? 802-585-3026. Do you agree with my questions so far? Do you have input of your own on the Patriots as they enter training camp in the first practice tomorrow? The Patriots at wideout, they need a playmaker. It's really nice when your offense can be methodical. It's nice when your offense can bleed the clock. It's nice when you can be controlled. It's nice when you can accumulate yards and wear out a defense. That's all great. But you also need a game breaker. You need a guy when you are down 14-0 with 6 minutes left in the second quarter that you can throw a slant to and let him take it to the house because you don't have time for a 14-play drive. You need a guy who on the first play of the second half, when you're down 20-7, you can throw a deep ball to and trust that he's going to go get it and take it to the house? Who is that guy going to be? Is it Tyquan Thornton, the second-round pick, who's the burner out of Baylor? Or is he a guy who can't get on the field other than special teams, as we've heard maybe being wondered? I don't know. Is it Devontae Parker, who you acquired from Miami, who's big, who's physical, but isn't always healthy? Is it Nelson Aguilar, who does this year what he was supposed to do last year? Is it Kendrick Bourne, who was very productive last year, who showed some big playability? Does he take a step in year 2? Is it who's it going to be? Because great teams in this league now, they have studs at wideout. DK Metcalf is a stud. Devontae Adams is a stud. Mike Evans is a stud. DeAndre Hopkins is a stud. Teams that are really good. Stephon Diggs is a stud. Teams that are winning. Tyreek Hill's a stud. Teams that are winning have big play go-to wideouts. The Patriots don't. Who steps up to try to be that guy? That is question 3 as far as I'm concerned. Now, we move on to question 4. Another positional question here. What does linebacker look like for this team? I would love to know. Linebacker is somehow forgotten about on defense, apparently, in modern football. We all talk about the back end, the corners and the safeties, right? You got to stop the pass catcher, so the DBs are important. Well, before that, you got to get pressure on the quarterback and get him off his spot, so the defensive line is important. Linebacker has become the lost zone on the field. It's not unimportant. Okay? The linebacker position is not a nothing position in this league. It's not just about getting up there in the trenches and stopping the run in the box. It's, do you have the speed to cover the field side to side? Can you cover wide receivers who come across the middle? Can you cover tight ends who are going across the middle? How about running backs who are coming out of the backfield? You need to be able to stop them and account for them, and the Patriots have been old and slow in that position the last few years. They were run off the field in Buffalo on that January playoff night. Okay, Bills destroyed them twice at the end of the year last year. Buffalo didn't even punt in the last 2 matchups. Pats lost all their starters at linebacker from a year ago. No Dante Hightower, no Kyle Van Noy, no Jamie Collins, no Juwan Bentley. They are all gone. So a position that a lot of you all think is useless, apparently, the Patriots didn't make any investments in. They didn't even draft wide receivers, right? They made the trade. They got the guy from Cleveland, whose name escapes me at the moment, when they traded Chase Winovich. But Josh Uche in year 3. Ronnie Perkins, who we didn't see at all last year. Raekwon McMillan, who was hurt last year. Anthony Jennings. Can these guys do the job? Can these guys do the job? The Pats don't get a lot of pressure up front. The Pats' defense in the secondary did get worse in losing J.C. Jackson. There's questions all over the defense, but there's no bigger question to me than linebacker, an entirely new group there. And then, let's see. Oh, maybe I only had 5 questions. Let's see. Did I have only 5? Okay, I apparently numbered them wrong. I thought I had 6 training camp questions. Now, you know what? I got a 6th. Number 5 is Bill Belichick. The heat is on. I don't think that Bill Belichick is coaching for his job necessarily, but Robert Kraft put the heat on him, okay? Put the heat on him. In March, Robert Kraft said this. Do we have that cut? We do. Here's what Kraft said in March.
I'm a Patriot fan, big time, first. And more than anything, it bothers me that we haven't been able to win a playoff game in the last 3 years.
Again, I don't necessarily think Belichick's coaching for his job, but he's got to prove that some of the decisions that he has made have the potential to work. Because Robert Kraft's put you on notice. It bothers me that we haven't won a playoff game in the last 3 years, Robert Kraft says. Well, Bill, you gave big money to Jonnu Smith. Can you get better return on that investment? Bill, you gave big money on Nelson Aguilar. Can you get better return on that investment? Bill, you let J.C. Jackson walk. Can you make up for that with Terrence Mitchell and some draft picks? I don't know. You didn't have a Josh McDaniels succession plan, and now you've got this hybrid setup with Judge and Patricia. Kraft has to be looking at least quizzically at all of these decisions, saying, you know what, man, it's always worked for Bill before, but I don't know that I'm questioning this. The heat is on Bill Belichick here as we enter Patriots training camp to prove that his moves have the potential to work. And finally, number 6, the recently added number 6. Which rookie steps up? Which rookie are we talking about most? Okay, you gotta have contributions from your young guys. Cole Strange at the offensive line position, we expect to be a starter. Are we talking about him? Is it Thornton at the wide receiver position on special teams? What about Marcus Jones, the speedster, the defensive back out of Houston? Is he a guy who is starting at slot corner and returning punts or kicks? Someone's got to step up from that rookie class. I'm excited about Marcus Jones. I'm very excited about him. We will see what happens, but we are officially back. Football, again, officially back. Pat's at training camp. Bill at the podium today. Matthew Slater at the podium today. We'll probably have some of that audio tomorrow, at least on the midday news service and the afternoon news service, if not this show. Football's back. And we're going to go along for the ride together for the next 5.5 to 6 months. I cannot wait for what this Patriots team is going to do. It is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV. 802-585-3026 is the Napa-Morrisville, Napa-Waterbury text line. We'll get into the Celtics. A lot of people today talking about Jaylen Brown, Kevin Durant, and the future of Boston. What exactly do we think is true in what everyone's saying? I'll play the sound. You be the judge with me. That's next.
Thursday night, the Thunder returns to the nation's site of excitement, Thunder Road, as WDEV and Calkins Portables present championship stock car racing for the late models, Flying Tigers, Street Stocks, and Road Warriors, plus the one you've all been waiting for, the Great Porta Potty Grand Prix. Adult admission, $15. Kids 12 and under, $5. A family of 4, 2 adults, 2 kids, just $30. Kids 5 and under, free. Thursday night, Thunder Road. Post time, 7 o'clock.
The Craftsbury Chamber Players celebrate their 56th summer of music making with a concert series of exciting performances and the wide-ranging programs that make them unique in Vermont. This year's programs feature many of your favorites from classical era masters, plus some wonderful surprises. The season continues this Wednesday with performances every Wednesday evening through August 3rd at the Ellie Long Music Center at St. Michael's College in Colchester and at the First Baptist Church in Burlington on August 10th and 17th, and every Thursday evening at the Hardwick Townhouse. There are free children's mini-concerts on Wednesday and Thursday afternoons and pre-concert chats before the evening concerts, too. For tickets and for programs to all concerts, go to craftsburychamberplayers.org. Tickets are also available at the door. Join the Craftsbury Chamber Players this Wednesday at the Ellie Long Music Center at 40th and Allen in Colchester and Thursday at the Hardwick Townhouse.
Make your opinion heard by texting onto the Brady Farkas Show at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. Red Sox baseball coming up about 15 minutes from now, 6:10. We'll give you the Sox lineups right beforehand as they get ready for Game 2 of their 4-game series against the Cleveland Guardians. Let's examine a few of the quotes that are out there right now about the Celtics, Jaylen Brown, Kevin Durant rumor mill. Okay, I got a bunch of audio here that I want to play some of it for you. Okay, here's Nick Friedel of ESPN, an NBA reporter. Here's what he wonders about the whole thing.
The Boston thing makes the most sense. But, guys, what I would say is, does Kevin want to be there?
Does Kevin Durant want to be in Boston? Yesterday we focused on how Jaylen Brown should feel. How should Kevin Durant feel about the rumors of him going to Boston? Does Durant even want to play in Boston? I truly don't think that Durant cares, to be honest with you. I look at Durant as a basketball mercenary and nothing more. I think Kevin Durant will play wherever he feels there is a ready-made championship situation. Like, yes, I think he'd like to be the best player on a team. I think he'd like to be the focal point. But He certainly doesn't want to go to a place where he's got to massage things, where he's got to build something, or where it's going to be a lot of work. It is now a lot of work with Kyrie Irving. Okay, it is a lot of work in Brooklyn. I just think he wants to slide into a place where it's cushy and where it's easy. That's it. I don't think he wants to be in a place where he's got to mentor somebody. I don't think he wants to have to hold someone's hands. I think he just wants to be a basketball mercenary, just show up in what is a good and ready-made situation. So I don't think that Kevin Durant would care about playing in Boston. Like, I think he would be perfectly fine with it. I think he would play wherever if it was a good situation for him to win. That's it. That's my sole thought on that. And there aren't too many ready-made champions out there, right? Like, and they can't all do it money-wise, but I think he'd slide in and I'll play in Milwaukee, sure. I think he'd slide in and say, sure, and maybe not Golden State again, but, sure, I'll go play with Phoenix. That's why he wanted to play there. That's why he listed Phoenix and Miami as two teams he was interested in. Ready-made champions. That's it. That's all he cares about. Let me go where it is now going to be easy because Kyrie is so taxing to play with. So that's one. I think Durant would be fine playing in Boston. Here's Jay Williams of ESPN. Played in the NBA. So I object to the Celtics trading Jaylen Brown and a deal for Kevin Durant. Jay Williams doesn't.
If I didn't have to give up Marcus Smart,
correct,
and it were Jaylen Brown, Derek White, and draft picks,
yeah,
probably because I'm potentially going to lose Jaylen Brown anyway.
So Marcus
if you
Smart,
paid attention to what Jaylen Brown has said over the last several years, in particular when Isaiah Thomas was let go, he talked a lot about people in the front office wanted us to build the right culture around this team, and then they make a move like this, so I don't trust the culture. And there's been a lot of talk around Jaylen Brown in 2024 being a free agent, not wanting to stay there in Boston.
Now that's interesting. If you think you're going to lose Brown, do you just go and make the move for Durant? Now, for what it's worth, I certainly haven't heard that Brown is unhappy. Shams Charania of Stadium, he said he hasn't heard that Brown is unhappy either. So take Jay Williams, what he says there, with a grain of salt. But I'll say this. Even if it's true that Jaylen Brown doesn't want to stay long term, this doesn't scare me off my position to not trade him. And here's why. I think I can win with Jaylen Brown in the next 2 years. If he's only going to be here for the next 2 years of his contract, I think I can win the NBA title with him in those 2 years. I don't know that I think it's easier with him than a 34 and 35-year-old Kevin Durant, but I also don't think that Durant makes it so lopsided in his favor. It's just that's not, like if you told me, hey, you can't win it with Brown, you can definitely win it with Durant, then I'd do it. I don't know that that's the case. I think I can win it with Jaylen, and I don't know that I can win it with Kevin Durant at 34 and 35 years old with his health problem. So that's number one. And number two, Jaylen Brown is under contract for 2 more years. If he did leave at the end of his deal, okay, if he left the Celtics in free agency at the end of his deal, I'm left in 2 years with a max contract slot open. I'd have, 26-year-old Jason Tatum, and I would have a max contract slot open. I would rather have Jaylen Brown for 2 years, and then the max contract slot open, than I would have Kevin Durant at 37 and 38, making $40 million a year. I would rather have that situation. Give me 26-year-old Tatum with an open max contract than 37 and 38-year-old Kevin Durant. So try to win it with Brown in the next 2 years. Try to re-sign him. If I can't, utilize that money that is freed up to go get another young superstar to pair with Tatum, not 37, 38-year-old Kevin Durant. So I'm still not doing it. I am still not doing this deal. Jack in South Burlington says any Celtics fan who wants Kevin Durant is a sellout and doesn't know anything about how the current team operates. Well, I don't know that I call them a sellout. They just want to win the title. I just happen to think they can win the title with the guys they got. Tatum, Brown, Smart, Robert Williams, Brogdon, Gallinari. Look on the free agent market for something else that can help. Look on the buyout market. Look at the trade deadline. I think the Celtics can win the title as they are, plus a little bit more. I don't think they need to go, subtraction by addition. I don't think they need to. I'm not in favor of trading Jaylen Brown for Kevin Durant. We'll answer a couple more texts, and we'll get to the Red Sox lineups. That's next on the Brady Farkas Show on DEV.
96.1 WDEV FM Warren. 96.5 W243 AT Barrie. 98.3 W252 CU Montpelier. AM 550 WDEV Waterbury.
This is CBS News on the Hour, presented by Liberty Mutual Insurance.
I'm Monica Ricks in New York. Former President Donald Trump is back in Washington and could be crafting an agenda for a possible second term.
This November, the people are going to vote to stop the destruction of our country, and they're going to vote to rescue America's future.
Former VP Mike Pence also spoke in D.C. today, but he called on the GOP to stop looking backwards. Pence also discussed the economy and abortion.
We call for reforming adoption laws so more forever families can be formed, because you can't be pro-life if you're not pro-adoption.
CBS Evening News anchor Nora O'Donnell actually talked to Dr. Caitlin Bernard, who provided a medicine abortion to a 10-year-old rape victim from Ohio. She talked about what it's like to be an abortion provider following the overturning of Roe v. Wade.
Have you felt threatened?
Yes. It shows how, abortion, instead of being part of healthcare, which it is, a needed life-saving procedure, which it is, has been used to create a wedge between people politically and personally, and it shows how far we have come and how sad that is.
The full interview airs tonight. In St. Louis, Missouri, historic rain has caused catastrophic floods. At least one person died after getting trapped in a car. And heat is fueling dangerous wildfires in several states. KCBS's Matt Bigler is in California.
Nearly 3,000 firefighters are now battling the Oak Fire from the ground and from the air. The blaze has grown to just over 18,000 acres. CAL FIRE spokesperson Dominic Polito says the flames crossed some of their containment lines, what's known as slop over.
We did have a slop over in Division Delta. They were hitting it with air support. So far, unable to get crews in there.
Over 50 buildings have been destroyed.
And thousands have evacuated. The White House is now responding to recession fears ahead of the release of a key economic report. Here's CBS's Stephen Portnoy.
Rather than growth, many analysts believe Thursday's GDP report will signal that the U.S. is in a recession. The White House disputes the notion, pointing to continued strength in the labor market. Biden aides say a recession can only be determined by a fulsome and lengthy dive into the data by a panel of expert economists.
Tonight's Mega Millions jackpot is up to $830 million, and people are already planning how to spend it.
I would give a donation to the church. I would help St. Jude's. I will buy my dream house. I will take care of my family, pay all my bills, and just live happily ever after.
That drawing is in 5 hours. You still have time to get tickets. This is CBS News.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance, so you only pay for what you need. Visit libertymutual.com to learn more.
When you're an innovative business, every blinking cursor. When you're an innovative business, every blinking cursor, every blank page is an opportunity. What will you do with it? Will you make something better or create something new? Our Dell Technologies advisors provide you with tools and expertise to do incredible things, because we believe there's an innovator in all of us. For advice on smart PCs powered by Intel V Pro that's built for business, call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
Do you owe the IRS $8,000 or more? Are you a few years behind on your filing? Are you going through an audit and have no idea what to do? You need an ally, fast. Ally's Tax Relief Negotiators can protect you from all IRS collections, but have you called them today? Their team of enrolled agents, tax attorneys, and CPAs are your allies to fix all your tax problems. Take the first step to getting the IRS off your back. Call Ally's Tax Relief today for a free consultation. 800-957-0325. Ally's Tax Relief. 800-957-0325.
How well does your garden grow? Tune in Saturdays at 12:30 for In the Garden with Peter Burke. Peter and co-host Joel Nashman give you 1 full hour of the latest news, helpful tips, and your calls to talk about what's happening in your garden. It's brought to you in part by Montpelier Agway, your locally owned Montpelier Agway, East Montpelier Road. In the Garden with Peter Burke, live Saturdays at 12:30. Hear the podcast anytime at WDEVradio.com.
For some people, all they need to know about weather is the high temperature for the day.
But if you're one of those people who really wants to understand the hows and whys of weather, especially here in the Green Mountain State, then Roger Hill's Weather Classroom podcast is for you. Some of the topics I'll explore are the types of precipitation, global temperature averages, and tropical cyclones. Roger Hill's Weather Classroom podcast is available at WDEVradio.com, Apple and Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music.
Want Brady to hear your opinion on the sports stories of the day? Text in at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Brady Farkas Show here for the next 5 minutes. Peter in Williston says, sorry I'm late to the show. There's an awesome, fun neighborhood barbecue and party. Have a great evening. Go Red Sox. Okay. Hope you're having fun, Peter. Ross says, I like Jaylen Brown and Derek White more than Durant any day. Well, I like those two and Marcus Smart better than Durant, because remember, the Nets countered. They want Smart also in a deal, which I want absolutely no part of. So, I worry about how Jaylen Brown perceives all this, right? Like being in the mix yet again for trade rumors at his age after what he's accomplished. I do worry about his psyche on the whole thing. I understand you got to be a professional, and I'm sure he will be able to compartmentalize it at some point. But that I worry about that. I would just rather play with Jaylen Brown. I would rather play with Jaylen Brown at his age, with where he's on the uptick, rather than Durant, who is on the back nine. Durant is still great, but he's on about hole 14 of his career. Jaylen Brown's on about hole 6, and he's still getting better as he goes towards the turn. I would rather have Jaylen Brown than Kevin Durant at this point. Let's see. Do we have any other Durant audio we wanted to play? Oh, here's Chris Forsberg of NBC Sports Boston.
Brad Stevens hasn't been afraid to sort of, make some uncomfortable moves. And we saw it from trading Kemba Walker on pretty much his first day on the job to the deadline moves to everything that he's done. He's been bold, and, this would be the boldest of them all. I'll be fascinated to see how it plays out. But I still think, ultimately, the fact that this news leaked on a random July night at 2:30 a.m. is more the Nets trying to spur others into action.
Look, there's Brad Stevens being bold, and there's Brad Stevens doing what I think would be pretty stupid. And I think this would be a stupid move. Brad Stevens was in that locker room. He knows the fragility of the locker room. He knows the importance of the locker room. He knows the personalities in this locker room. And I would not want him to jeopardize that. If you are fracturing Jaylen Brown's psyche in any way, if you are making Marcus Smart question anything, or you're upsetting Tatum, if you're fracturing the locker room, you are doing a disservice to your basketball team. That is what I don't want to do. It's going to be hard to get back to the NBA Finals. I know that. Miami will be at better strength next year. Milwaukee will be back at better strength. Atlanta's just gotten better. Philly will be good again. It's not a guarantee. But I think the Celtics now, as they are constructed, are better suited to get back to the finals as they are constructed than going out and blowing up a lot of their roster just to get Durant. Durant is great. But if I lose Brown and Smart and White, is that really addition by subtraction, or am I just kind of, maybe marginally better, if that, and now with a lot less depth? That's kind of how I would see it. Red Sox and Guardians here. Guardians 48 and 47. Sox 49 and 48. They're even in the standings, both 3 games back of the final wild card spot. Brian Shaw is a reliever. He's going to open for the Guardians. He's 4-2 with a 5.29. Winkowski goes for the Sox 3-4 with a 4.38. Stephen Kwan, the contact hitting outfielder, leads off in left for Cleveland. Ahmed Rosario's at short. Jose Ramirez at third, Josh Naylor the DH. Owen Miller's at first, Andres Jimenez is at second, Nolan Jones is in right, Austin Hedges the catcher, and the speedy outfielder Miles Straw is in center, the former Astro. Rob Refsnyder leads off today in center field. Alex Verdugo is in left. Xander Bogaerts is at short. J.D. Martinez is back in. He's the DH. Kristen Vasquez is at first. Kevin Plawecki does the catching. Yolmer Sanchez is at second. Bobby Dahlbeck's at third. And Jalen Davis is back with the big club. He is in center. So no Franchi Cordero in this one. Still no Trevor Story. Still no Devers. But Jalen Davis, no Jaron Durant either. But good news for the Sox. Martinez back at the DH spot. Martinez name and trade rumors. We'll get the scoop on that from Tom Caron tomorrow on the Brady Farkas Show. Go Sox, everybody.